Turning now to a wrap of your top stories of the day, we're learning new details about a really disturbing attack on a cat's light rail platform. A 60-year-old woman recovering after police say a man grabbed her, threw her to the ground, and strangled her. It happened last Thursday during rush hour at the 45 station on South Boulevard. Police say the suspect appears to have attacked the woman at random. They didn't know each other. So far, no word on any arrests.
Good Thursday morning. CAT system has approved that comprehensive transit plan aimed at expanding transportation infrastructure across Mecklenburg County. However, the town of Matthews has expressed opposition to the plan. They're concerned that the plan prioritizes areas with higher population densities, and they say not getting the Silver Line would significantly hurt them in the coming years.
All right, I want to give you an update here. So a truck accident is ongoing in Shelby. A truck has actually crashed into the Comfort Inn near the Cleveland Mall. Starting to see those backups there right along Highway 74 and Dixon Boulevard. So we'll continue to keep you up to date with that.
And you can see one day stands out from the rest here on our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Weather alert for tomorrow. Slight chance for pop-up showers and storms today. Slightest chance for rain this weekend, but all in all, not too bad. Sun and clouds, lower 80s. We deserve that.
The weekend looks great, and that's what matters most.
Yes,
right?
It does.
A reminder, the news does not end here. We're live all day with breaking news, weather, and traffic.
That's on WCNC Plus. Join us there now.
Streaming live right now at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. This morning looks better than yesterday, but enjoy it while it lasts. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy says that we should prepare for the chance for storms today.
Yeah, and let's get right to that forecast. I really think tomorrow is the main highlight, and that's the reason why we've gone weather alert. But our current visibility is not great, but not awful depending where you are. It's really been around Wadesboro and Anson County that we've seen the lowest visibilities, and that does stretch into certain parts of Cabarrus over to Union County, Chesterfield County as well. Back to a 0 for you, Jefferson. You had that for much of the morning yesterday. And here's a good look at reason why. Check out some of the valley areas around Lylesville here in Anson County, just east of Wadesboro. Yeah, really tough to see. Fog is a ground cloud, and that's exactly what this is doing. As we heat up, this will eventually start to burn off. It's also a good testament of what our skies are going to be. There is a chance that you will see a little bit of blue sky like this, but a lot of that fog, that moisture, can sometimes keep a low deck of clouds around for much of the day. That's why I think today is overall an overcast one, with a hope that maybe it looks like that from time to time. Our high temperatures today, 80 degrees, and then we have the upper 70s. It just really depends where you are, so range really 76 to 80 degrees, but all in all, we're in the mid to the upper 70s pretty much for the entirety of the afternoon. And another feature of the day, it's muggy, y'all. You're really feeling humid today compared to what we had over the last couple. And then our hourly forecast shows that our rain chances really start to jump as we work our way into the evening hours, the late afternoon as well. I think the highest chance for rain is mid to late evening after the sun sets. But the window for storms, thunder and lightning, is between about 3 and 9. So this is kind of a weak confidence. We don't really have this widespread event that we're looking at for tomorrow, but heavy rain and strong winds, I think the main ones. Isolated hail, I might even just discount that for today. Here's a look at what you can expect through the afternoon. First signs of developing storms will be right here from Morganton to Taylorsville by the early afternoon. Also, right around 2 o'clock, we start to see some activity down towards the south. This is very isolated, so not a guarantee. I think really between about 3 and 5 we could have our first storm around the Charlotte area, but hey, you could have rain in Huntersville but nothing down in Pineville, one of those isolated natures here. But by about 8 to midnight, that's where we're seeing the most coverage here on the map. Good chance that it is raining actively right here around 10 to 11 o'clock. If you're up with us at this hour, maybe you're already asleep at that point. And then as we continue into your Friday morning, we're starting to clear things out. Good news. Tomorrow's forecast, I think you have a little bit of fog, likely staying dry. And then we have the mid to the upper 70s. But by about 2 o'clock, that's where we open up our severe weather window. So we're weather alert from 2 to 8 tomorrow. And I think likely we can expire this a little bit earlier. Heavy rain, strong winds, and isolated hail. Those are the big three. It's always going to be a chance for dangerous lightning. But there's also an outlier chance that we could have a spin-up tornado associated with the system. And coming up a little bit later on WCNC Plus, I'm going to break down all of our parameters, go through it, kind of what we look at behind the scenes to show the severity of, or at least the setup that is really pinpointing for the time being. So here's noon tomorrow. That means we'll be right around the North Carolina mountains. Once you get to about that 2 o'clock hour, we're already starting to see a jump of the rain and even a chance for a light to moderate rain, maybe an embedded thunderstorm. This data, I think, for a little bit longer range isn't showing a lot of detail, so not a guarantee that you're going to see all this green, but it does pick up right around 4 o'clock. That's where we really have some developing showers and thunderstorms. It would be something like this that could have a leading edge of a large severe thunderstorm warning, chance for those gusty winds up to about 60 miles per hour. Anything isolated like what you're seeing here would be a better chance at maybe a rotating thunderstorm dividing a supercell and an outside chance for a tornado warning. So really anything goes, especially between about 2 and 6. After that, we're starting to clear things off towards the east, and then we're good to go clearing things and drying things out heading into the weekend. I still have an isolated chance for rain on Saturday and Sunday, and then after that, we should be dry and much warmer. So our Guy Roofing 70 forecast, you can see the Friday stands out from all the other days because we are weather alert. Again, between about 2 and 8 is your best chance for storms. Lower 80s for your Saturday and Sunday. Feeling great, looking great. Just a slight chance for a pop-up shower or a storm to end each day. And then we should be perfectly dry, great for any outdoor painting projects Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with highs in the upper 80s even on Wednesday. So let's get over to our morning commute. Let's see how we're faring to begin the 7 o'clock hour. Majestic.
All right, good morning, everyone. Want to take you out to Cleveland County, specifically out towards Shelby, where we do have a big accident that is ongoing right now. We're going to go ahead and zoom it on into the areas that are being impacted here. We know that a truck has crashed into the Comfort Inn near the Cleveland Mall here. Again, this is in Shelby. It's on Dixon Boulevard near Marion Street. So we're already starting to see those impacts there. Again, continuing to learn more about this ongoing situation, but it's a very active scene. Off to the east, we do have a couple of accidents I also want to let you know about. Just outside of the I-485 circle, we have this accident. You can see all the colors popping up up here. There's a crash on Westinghouse Boulevard at Brookford Street, so seeing slow to medium impacts there. And then just to the north, I've been following this one for about the last 20 minutes. That crash on the Billy Graham Parkway, so do keep that in mind. We'll continue to follow that ongoing crash there in Shelby as a truck has crashed into the Comfort Inn Motel. Lisa.
Majestic, thanks for that. This morning, we're learning new details about a disturbing attack on a CATS light rail platform. A 60-year-old woman is recovering after police say a man grabbed her, threw her to the ground, and strangled her. Now, this happened last Thursday during rush hour at the 485 station on South Boulevard. Police say the suspect appears to have attacked the woman at random. So far, no word on any arrests.
A major milestone this morning for public transit, but not everybody's cheering. CATS just approved its transit plan, promising more buses, more routes, and more rail lines. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now with a closer look at the plan and why some town leaders are already raising red flags.
But Thursday morning, CATS has approved what it calls a comprehensive transportation plan that has something for everyone, but not everybody agrees. The plan includes the development of new light rail lines, enhanced bus services, and improved roadways with the goal of increasing mobility throughout our region. But however, the town of Matthews has expressed opposition to the plan. They're concerned that the plan prioritizes other areas with larger populations, and that leaves Matthews with less effective transportation options, primarily not getting the Silver Line extension into their town.
All right, Richard Devane with that report. Charlotte City Councilwoman Tijuana Brown moving forward this morning after her first town hall since pleading not guilty to federal fraud charges. Despite a long line of people there waiting to ask questions last night at the town hall, nobody asked about the charges against her. But at the very end, Brown addressed it on her own. And people we spoke to didn't seem to let the allegations change their views on her.
This has been one of the most difficult 6 days of my life. But I want you to hear directly from me. I am still here, I'm still fighting, and I'm still serving.
We knew when she went in that she had been incarcerated. So it didn't really surprise me.
I hope it doesn't, but I understand that that's something that's distracting. So I hope it doesn't affect council's ability to get things done.
Brown has said repeatedly that she will not resign and she plans to run again in November.
New info this morning is reopening painful questions and outrage about the Dee Dawkins case. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard has exclusive details about key evidence in the case that's gone missing.
Somebody just raped and murdered her and threw her into a river like she was a piece of trash, and then nothing else was ever done.
Dee Dawkins was only 13 years old when she was killed back in 1992.
I called Dee the county's dirty little secret.
Her family says she was labeled, misjudged, and left behind. And now they say she's been failed again.
There's something really much bigger going on here.
This document from the medical examiner confirms Dee Dee's shoe, one of the only things she was wearing when her body was found, was signed over to the Catawba County Sheriff's Office. But the evidence, now gone, with no paper trail explaining how or when.
Obvious that there was major mistakes made. You've lost this girl's evidence. If they wanted to solve the girl's case, they had the opportunity to do this 30 years ago, and they didn't.
Willie Armstrong is the Brookford chief of police. He reopened Dee Dee's case back in 2024 and quickly learned of the missing evidence. He says that shoe would have solved this case.
Because what we're dealing with are law enforcement officials that are obviously hiding something.
I also reached out to the Catawba County Sheriff's Office regarding this incident. They said they had no evidence connected to Dee Dee's case in their possession currently. They say electronic evidence records dates back to the year 2001. And even when doing a complete inventory audit in 2021, that piece of evidence was still not located. A big mistake that now has a family that has waited over 30 years feeling betrayed.
We were basically told that cold cases are typically solved with DNA. She was a throwaway. And that's how I feel about it.
I spoke to the district attorney who says they've always been committed to finding answers in this case.
They're always open. Unfortunately, it just remained unsolved.
The documentation I obtained shows the case was closed back in 2001. The Catawba County Sheriff's Office also has a list of unsolved cases on their page, some dating back to 1983. But Dee Dee's case was not one of them.
They still don't want her name out there.
Dawkins' family says the question now isn't just how the shoe was lost, it's how justice for Dee Dee was too.
That some days I get so hopeless that I feel like nothing's ever going to be done.
Harvard surrendering photographs believed to be the earliest taken of enslaved people. The original images captured on metal tablets will be given to a South Carolina museum devoted to African American history. It's part of a settlement with one of the subject's descendants. The images of Renty Taylor and his daughter Delia were taken 175 years ago by a Harvard scientist whose theories on race were used to justify slavery here in the U.S. Renty's great-great-great-granddaughter, Tamara Lanier, sued Harvard over the images. She calls the settlement historic.
This landmark settlement is not just a victory for my family, it's a victory for every descendant who has carried the weight of a stolen past and dared to demand it back. This pilfered property, images taken without dignity or consent and used to promote a racist pseudoscience, will now be repatriated to a home where their stories can be told and their humanity can be restored.
In addition to giving up the images, there is also an undisclosed financial settlement in this resolution with Harvard. A major blow this morning to President Trump's economic policy, a federal court blocking most of his tariffs, calling them unconstitutional.
As NBC's Alice Barr explains, it comes as Elon Musk prepares to leave the administration behind.
A major shakeup in President Trump's tariff plans as a federal trade court ruled he had exceeded his authority and blocked most of the tariffs he's imposed so far, including the 10% rate on most trading partners, the massive reciprocal tariffs that were paused, the steepest levies on China, and the fentanyl-related tariffs on Canada and Mexico. A 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of International Trade said the Trump administration could not rely on emergency powers cited in his executive orders to assume unbounded tariff authority without input from Congress. The White House immediately appealed, with a spokesperson saying it's not for unelected judges to decide how to address a national emergency. Shortly before the ruling, President Trump defended his tariff strategy against a new Wall Street term, referencing that he, quote, chickens out with frequently changing rates.
You call that chickening out? It's called negotiation. You set a number.
Attorneys general from Arizona and Oregon led the legal challenge, calling the tariffs an illegal abuse of power and the court ruling a victory for working families. It comes as close Trump advisor Elon Musk ended his time as a special government employee one day after criticizing the president's one big beautiful budget bill.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly. Which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
The bill that passed through the House includes massive tax cuts and immigration spending increases, and some Republican senators say not enough spending cuts.
And as several Republican senators signal they'll want significant changes before approving that bill, President Trump acknowledged that he's not happy with some aspects of it, while thrilled with others. He said there will be more negotiations. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Looking ahead, the North Carolina DMV is bringing back Saturday walk-in hours this Saturday. They're available at 20 locations across the state, several here in the Charlotte area. They're going to offer a number of services, including Real ID appointments. Saturday hours will be available through August. It's to help with the long lines at DMV offices around the state. Happening today, an exciting new addition and is coming to the Charlotte area. The region's first Whataburger is set to open this morning in Gastonia. Set to open at 8, just under an hour from right now. It's a restaurant located on East Franklin Boulevard, right by the Bubba's 33. We are going to be live out there this morning at 8 o'clock right here on WCNC+.
This morning, people are waking up to more storm damage in central Texas. Take a look at what the storm did to this gas station. This is in Austin. You can see part of a large canopy there collapsed onto several cars. The winds also toppled trees and power poles. There are reports that the wind gusts at the airport exceeded 75 miles per hour at one point. It's still not clear if there were any injuries.
Ahead of hurricane season, we are boosting your weather IQ so you can stay prepared. Next Wednesday, our Weather Impact team will host a WCNC Weather Impact Special. They're going to walk us through the hurricane predictions for this year, take a look back at the devastation from Helene, and explain the science behind hurricanes. You can watch it on air or streaming right here on WCNC Plus, June 4th at 8 p.m.
Don't miss it. You're going to learn a lot. I think you're going to have a lot of fun watching it, too. I might be a little biased. We are mainly focused in on the Atlantic season, of course, for that special. But if we direct our attention over to the Pacific Ocean, we potentially could have our first tropical storm of the year over there. This is Tropical Depression 1. The -E is just representing that over in the eastern side of the Pacific Ocean. But right now, winds are at about 35 miles per hour. Once it gets up to 39 to 40, then we're going to be officially calling this Tropical Storm Alvin. You're going to have temperatures get to about 60 miles per hour. The good news is this looks to weaken significantly before it's going to work its way back into Mexico. So it could have rain impact here on the western side of the country, but all in all, not a big deal for storm number 1, which is the way we like to keep it. Severe storms for tomorrow, though. That's where I'm going to spend this time here on WCNC Plus, talking about our big severe weather risk. It's between about 2 to 8 o'clock. This is where everything is kind of lining up perfectly for a stronger line of thunderstorms, some gusty winds, especially the further south that you go. Gusty winds, large hail, I think of the big 2 that'll come from this, so stay weather aware, and we'll keep you updated on our WCNC app, but then also we'll be live streaming through the event on WCNC Plus. So from 2 to 8 o'clock tomorrow, that's our highest threat, where you could have heavy rain, gusty winds, and some isolated hail associated with this. The reason why we have such a good setup for tomorrow is because we're in the warm sector. Sometimes underneath a low pressure system such like this, you can get winds that are flowing from the west. Meanwhile, you get stronger winds out of the southwest that are blasting in some of that moisture. That's going to create what's called wind shear. And wind shear doesn't just give you a chance for tornadoes, it actually can drive that storm higher into the atmosphere, which can make it taller, stronger, larger hail, and so on and so on. So a supercell doesn't just mean a tornado threat, it also means a much higher threat for hail. But I think damaging winds, that's going to be the highest threat that we have for anything. But focusing in on that tornado threat, it certainly has expanded compared to what we've seen before. It's now up to about a 2 to 5% chance overall, but I still think it's much lower. Really, this background that we're seeing right here is just the general threats that we're going to have for your Friday. So taking a closer look at our rotation, check this out. From about 2 to 4 to 5, that's where we have the highest rotation track. So this just means that the line could have some little twists and bends in it. So there's the slightest chance if it starts to bow out, you could have a QLCS that spin up tornado on the line, but I think the higher chance is if you have an individual supercell that's associated with this. Once you get to about 7 o'clock, that fuel and that energy pushes us way off towards the east. Damaging straight line winds, this is the highest probability, where wind gusts could reach up to about 60 miles per hour as that cold pool within the cloud just drops out. So looking at the timing, even though we have 2 to 8 for the severe weather window, we see signs of this arriving around 1 o'clock. I think that the highest chance for storms, if that comes to fruition, you see rain and then storms, it's going to be mainly just a southern event that we have the highest storm threat, and you are actually seeing that. The strongest storms look to be just in the southern part of the 485 loop around Lancaster over to Monroe. This easily right here, just looking at the loose fit of this storm, would be a warn storm, because likely you'd have some gusty winds in the leading edge or a bow echo, and then secondary storms off towards the north. So all of us are still under the gun for a chance for these storms. I just think that they're much higher the further south that you go. Once you get to about 6 o'clock, starting off your Friday evening, I think Charlotte's in the all clear for severe weather, and then it's just the backside of that system that'll be drying things out. As far as how much rain we could see by the end of it, by the end of that severe weather and weather alert window, I think you could have up to 1 inch to 1.5 inches, but it just depends on where those heavier bands are going to set up. So stay weather alert for your Friday, and even today, stay weather aware for a passing storm or two. More on your full forecast coming up in a little bit, but first we have to hit the roads with Majestic Storm.
Good morning, everyone. We are following still an ongoing accident. I want to take you out to Cleveland County. Specifically, I want to take you out to Shelby, where we do have some problems this morning. Zooming it on in, you can see those backups already. It's a truck accident, and we do have crews heading to this scene. A truck has crashed into the Comfort Inn near the Cleveland Mall. That's the mall there, and the crash just happened right at that intersection. Really, it's between Dixon Boulevard and Marion Street. So if you typically drive this way, you're going to notice really some backups there, as this is still a very active scene. Once our crews get there, we'll be sure to give you those latest information and reports as we are still learning more about what's going on there. Still following a couple of accidents I want to let you know about, though. This is at Remont Road at Tryon Street, so we're seeing just a little backup there. And then off to the east here, this one I've been following, but really minimal impacts there. Sam D. Road at Cambridge Commons Drive. If we do learn more about what's going on in Shelby, as I think we will once our crews get there, we'll be sure to give you the latest.
It's Thursday and time for On This Day in History. A monumental event occurred. The first documented ascent of Mount Everest happened exactly 72 years ago, May 29, 1953. The first ascent of Mount Everest was documented on this day by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. They reached 29,028 feet at 11:30 in the morning. These are the two guys right there, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. On this day, exactly 72 years ago, the ascent of Mount Everest, and that's On This Day in History. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
7:21 right now on WCNC Plus. Many high school seniors graduating this month, but one high school up in Maryland graduated a whopping 10 sets of twins in just one class. Darcy Spencer reports.
The Eleanor Roosevelt High School graduation at the Xfinity Center in College Park was much like many graduations you've attended. The music, the caps and gowns, proud families and students. But at this graduation, you might have thought you were seeing double at times. Take a look. All of these students are twins, 10 sets of them, all celebrating their graduation together.
I'm glad that we're going to the same school and we get to experience this together, because not many people get the chance to.
It made the whole year special, my whole life special. It was a lot of fun growing up together and, you know, helping each other with homework and helping each other study for tests.
There are some identical twins like brothers Jin Shang and Jin Hao.
Just astonishing. We're also first generation students, so it's also a huge milestone for the both of us.
But many are fraternal, some brother and sister, and they didn't even know there were so many twins in the same graduating class, which is about 600 students.
Definitely not. I was taking a moment to look out and see all the twins. I feel like when you're a twin, you think you're the only one, and then you put all of us together and you realize you're not.
And once school leaders realized there would be 10 sets of twins walking across the stage, they decided to make it extra special, calling on them to stand during the graduation ceremony.
While this graduation day is filled with happiness, there's also a little bit of sadness. For many of these twins, they'll be going their separate ways after today for the first time ever.
Several told News 4 they're going to different universities and acknowledge it's going to be a big adjustment without their twin. It's a special bond.
They're going to stay connected, and 100% we're going to see each other embrace.
They told us it's been special growing up with a twin by their side and celebrating this accomplishment together.
I'm proud of him. He's one of those people that does everything last minute, and he got it together today, and I'm proud of him.
And accepting their diplomas on the same day was a perfect ending to their high school years.
There's also a graduation ceremony today here in Charlotte. Metro School will hold its graduation at 7 to 9 at the Charlotte Convention Center.
Well, speaking of student achievement, one local student is taking it to the next level in spelling. Aishuya Kulakori of Concord is in the Scripps National Spelling Bee Finals. The 14-year-old attends Valor Preparatory Academy. She will compete against 8 other finalists tonight for the coveted Scripps Cup and cash prize. Now, this is not her first time. She also competed last year, tying for 23rd in the semifinals. If she wins, she'll be the first speller from North Carolina to win since 1970. Were you good at spelling?
I won a number of spelling bees.
Well, now.
I did. I think 3rd grade and 5th grade. Spell check ruined me because I think I was a better speller in the 5th grade than I am right now.
Yeah.
Because it makes
you don't have to know how to spell now.
That's the problem. So not anymore. I could not win today, for sure.
Well, a reminder this morning for those looking for a way to make a meaningful impact in the community. We are teaming up with the United Way of Greater Charlotte for the perfect opportunity. This Saturday, May 31st, volunteers are needed to support the revitalization efforts in the Lakeview neighborhood. That's on the city's west side. Now, to sign up to volunteer, all you have to do is head to WCNC.com/community.
All right, we're going to take a quick break as we take a live look right now over uptown. Chris standing by with a look at your forecast. Also, we'll look at your morning commute as well. And we're back with the headlines at 7:30 right here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning, everyone. Depends where you are. We have some patchy, dense fog, especially from Statesville over to Concord, Wadesboro, down to a half-mile visibility. So watch out for that over the next couple of hours. See, not the prettiest start over here in Monroe. Eventually, we'll break that fog, but we'll still be under overcast to a mostly cloudy sky. As far as our rain and storm potential for today, we start to see showers starting to pop after 1 to 2 o'clock, and then you could have an isolated cell to end the afternoon, but certainly by the middle of the evening, once that sun sets, we're expecting more widespread rain. So I think the wettest period of your Thursday is really between about 8 and midnight. So that's round 1. Round 2 is tomorrow, and that's where we're going. Weather alert from 2 to 8. You have a chance for strong thunderstorms, heavy rain, and isolated hail to push past the area. Stay weather alert Friday afternoon. Majestic.
All right, 7:27 right now, and roads are definitely picking up. Want to take you out to Cleveland County, specifically want to take you out to Shelby, where we are following a big accident this morning. You can see all the red indicating stop and go travel. We're looking at a truck accident. A truck has actually crashed into the Comfort Inn near the Cleveland Mall. That's between Dixon Boulevard near Marion Street. Crews are on their way to learn more about this ongoing investigation and on this ongoing accident. So stay close to us on WCNC Plus. We'll see you there.
streaming live right now on WCNC Plus here at 7:30. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. An ICE operation at a local church is sparking concerns this morning about the sanctity of religious spaces.
I want to speak out because it's wrong. It's wrong on every level. I don't value one human life over another, and everyone deserves an opportunity to have a good life, and it's upsetting.
The incident happened at the Central United Methodist Church in East Charlotte last week. WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris talked to faith leaders about the concerns they have.
This month has been challenging and heartbreaking for many of us.
Community leaders in Charlotte voicing their issues with a recent ICE operation, where armed agents staged an operation at a church here in Charlotte during preschool pickup time.
The places where people come to worship, pray, study, and live out the tenets of their faith should be unavailable for this kind of posturing.
While no one was ultimately detained, the fear of federal agents lingers throughout our community.
Every North Carolinian should be alarmed that our neighbors are getting abducted by ICE in an operation that appears to be both indiscriminatory and discriminatory.
The latest operation drawing issues with North Carolina State Representative Julia Greenfield.
We're seeing green card holders being picked up. We're seeing legal citizens being picked up. Just because you might drive a van that doesn't look like the normal van, your skin is darker, you have an accent, and it's wrong. And it's wrong.
I do greet you.
Faith leaders like Jennifer Copeland stress that the disruption not only incites fear, but interferes with their ability to serve neighbors and carry out their core religious ministries.
ICE enforcement activity on sacred property interferes with the Christian call to welcome the stranger, serve our neighbors, and carry out the ministries that are central to our faith.
Again, that was Miles Harris reporting. We reached out to ICE, but have not heard back.
Now for a check on our forecast, here's meteorologist Chris Mulcahy.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. Ben, we are looking at a foggy start for some of us. A quarter mile around Statesville, half mile around Concord, and then less than 2 miles around Wadesboro. And we're down to 5. That's not a bad visibility for Charlotte, but this still could drop. I think it's over the next hour and a half that we're going to have our lowest visibilities. We've seen a little improvement here in Louisville, but it's still not great. We've had anywhere from a 0 to a half mile visibility, as you can check down into the valleys as our camera's up above on this tower, how thick that fog is off in the distance. Here your visibility, futurecast for 8 o'clock, so about a half hour from now. Still rocking about half mile visibilities in parts of Union, Lancaster, over to Chesterfield County, but it's by about 9 o'clock we really erode much of that cloud cover. Fog is just a ground cloud, so once it starts to heat up, it actually lifts up and it just turns into a lower level cloud. I think you have that by 9, and then we don't have to worry about any visibilities here at the surface by about 10 o'clock. So not the best view right now in Monroe. You'll be able to see a lot more off in the distance 2 hours from now. Temperatures reaching the upper 70s, but I want you to focus in on this yellow number. Here, I'll pop in just with my hand. 81 degrees. That's right. It feels about 4 degrees warmer because it's that muggy today. So you're really going to be feeling that extra moisture in the atmosphere. High temperatures right around 80 degrees, but most of the afternoon we're in the upper 70s. The window for storms is mainly between about 3 to 9 o'clock. Not saying you're not going to see rain after that. I just think that's just your best chance for the lightning, the strong winds, and the heavy rain that comes with the center of a thunderstorm. We're seeing our first signs of that right about 3 o'clock as we're opening up the window around Lancaster. It's very hit or miss, so it depends. These are those ones that could pop up, slow movers, and then eventually they start to fade out and a new one could form in its wake. But you see that especially to end the afternoon, and then through the evening on and off, we have some developing rain. But this version of our futurecast shows a more widespread scenario after the sun sets. So I think the best chance for at least rain showers is between about 8 o'clock and midnight tonight. Then that'll be out of here before you know it, and then we wait for our next line, the main event by your Friday. So Friday, we got to stay weather aware as the system's rolling through. From 2 to 8 o'clock, that's our best potential from northwest to southeast to have gusty winds and large hail. However, I'm not going to discount a spin-up tornado, and we'll get to that. I'm going to break down these in a little bit more detail coming up. So you need to stay weather aware and make sure you have our WCNC app downloaded. You're already watching us here on WCNC Plus. We're going to be live streaming. Brad will be keeping us in the know. Our severe weather risks, as I mentioned, the highest one I think is damaging winds. Number 2 is hail, but that tornado threat is still there. The reason why we even have that is because of this low pressure system. The way that it rotates, kind of just like this, it's underneath here that you have the shift in the winds at different levels. That allows for a twist, and that doesn't always mean a tornado. That just means you have a chance for some supercells, or at least the line of thunderstorms could spin up a tornado within it. So let's take a look at our futurecast. I'm actually going to step off. You see how quickly those bands of showers are starting to roll through, but I'm going to slow this down for you. This futurecast actually is a brand new update. This is one that updates every hour. I'm switching to this one. It's going, I think, a little bit more aggressive, and it has had a history of doing that over the last couple of months. But this, I think, is the worst case scenario that we're seeing here, and that's why we usually give these alerts. Check out 1 o'clock. We're seeing a decent line of showers and thunderstorms in the mountains at that point. Once you get to about 2 to 3, this is a main line of storms. Anywhere along that line, the more organization that you get with the frontal edge, and we actually start to see that right around Greensville, that's where you have the best chance for some stronger winds and stronger storms in general. By the time you get to about 4 o'clock, this is looking like a pretty decent line. Any individual cells that you can see, like such as around Chester, that's where you could potentially see maybe a supercell, maybe a spin-up tornado along the line. But notice how it really starts to bow by the late afternoon. It's wherever it begins to do this is where we're going to have the worst of the winds. So from Wadesboro over to Lancaster, that's where you have a clear defined bow echo within this line. And that's the main reason why we're going weather alert for something like this. It's right here. Anytime you have that type of signature, this is clear of Charlotte by 5 o'clock. If this slows down any and that main line develops, say, here around Lincolnton, Gastonia, it's a much higher threat. But I think the general rule that we're seeing here is from northwest to southeast, it's much stronger than the southeastern part of our viewing area. So if you're watching from Monroe over to Rockingham and Wadesboro, that's where I think you have to be most weather alert, but all of us are going to be under the gun for all the above. The good news, once this system passes, is a cold front. It's actually going to dry us out. It'll feel much more comfortable heading into the weekend. Speaking of, we have the slightest chance for developing showers. The front will be nearby. I think that's a little bit more popular closer to the I-40 corridor, but the lower 80s, mix of cloud and sunshine, much better than where we were a couple of days ago. And then we start to get hot, hot, hot into the upper 80s, near 90 degrees, the middle of next week. Majestic, it's been active in some spots. What's going on traffic-wise?
It's definitely picking up, that's for sure. 7:37 right now. Want to show you our live traffic maps. As you can see, lots of ongoing accidents out there. I want to take you out to Cleveland County, though, specifically into Shelby, because we've been following a big accident this morning. Our WCNC crews are on the way to this as a truck did crash into a motel over there, the Comfort Inn. So we're really seeing those backups there. Again, it's really between Dixon Boulevard and East Marion Street. That's where we have a lot of red, indicating just stopped traffic or just moving very, very slowly. As we head a little towards the uptown area, you can see lots still going on. At least those area roadways right now are not wet, but you can still see we do have this one ongoing accident that's actually worsened since the last time I saw you here. It's on the Billy Graham Parkway, adding on another additional 5 to 10 minutes for your morning commute. And then a right lane, it's blocked due to a crash on Highway 49 eastbound at I-495. We'll have more on everything coming up in just a few. Lisa.
Majestic, thanks. 7:38 now. This morning, city and community leaders are seeking solutions to the growing problem of youth violence.
One man hopes that his summer programs can be a turning point for at-risk teens. James Ford, the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club of York and Chester counties. Ford says it's really important for kids to see positive role models who overcame the same obstacles teens are facing now.
I am a person that had a friend that had a bad moment when I was 16, he was 17. He's just getting out of jail now. I've lived a whole life, 26 years in the Army and another 10 years on this job. And that is a real or as powerful message as there can be.
The Boys and Girls Club has free summer programs that combine academics, mentorship, and professional exposure. Each student also required to take a crime prevention course. You can find more information right now inside the WCNC mobile app. Thousands of students will be playing catch up today after a computer outage prevented students from finishing their end-of-year testing. The North Carolina Department of Public Instruction says a system error caused NC tests to malfunction. The outage lasted about 40 minutes and impacted 120,000 students. The state says schools have two options for the test now, either resume testing today or completely restart the test.
I can tell you my daughter was one of those elementary students who was impacted yesterday. Her great story was, Mommy, I was trying to go to the next problem. I hit next on my Chromebook and it didn't do anything. Then I realized it was the whole class and the whole school, then the whole district. And guess what? I'm like, what? It was the whole state.
Reagan's going to be our next correspondent.
She might be.
She could just call in and report it to us the next time.
Exactly. Other news this morning, a local nonprofit is seeking some solutions to fill the gap in maternal health services. Embrace All Latino Voices helps expand health access for families. Right now, North Carolina ranks above average for the number of maternal deaths during childbirth. That makes access to resources that much more crucial.
To have a healthy pregnancy, a healthy child, a healthy family, it's unbelievable to see how thankful and how grateful those people are.
To learn more about Embrace and its health resources, just visit the WCNC mobile app. Well, if you didn't know, May is considered Better Sleep Month, and it's safe to say that we all have nights where we stay up later than we should.
But could not getting enough sleep be doing more harm to your health than you probably realize? WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies for us.
Some people are night owls, others are early birds. But how can this affect your sleep? Let's verify. Verify, we went to the Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Carla Robinson with Urban House Call, and cardiologist Dr. Pyle Coley. Everyone is different when it comes to sleep.
Some people feel better when they wake up super early and go to bed on time, so they're kind of early risers, and other people feel better and more sort of rested and restored if they do the opposite schedule. There's also some people who have something called short sleeper, which is that they don't need a lot of sleep.
But it can have adverse health effects if you don't get enough sleep. The Cleveland Clinic mentions a greater risk of conditions like depression. Dr. Robinson says there's a lot of other impacts as well.
We do know that sleep deprivation as a whole certainly has been linked to many health conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, and many other issues. And so we know that for people who tend to be night owls, they may not get the full recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night.
Both doctors have recommendations for getting on a better sleep schedule.
Do not use screens within 2 hours of bedtime, because whether you're a night owl or you go to bed on time, you are disrupting your circadian rhythm by doing that.
Whether you're a night owl or you're someone who's an early riser, we recommend trying to have a sleep schedule that's maintained throughout the entire week, even on the weekends. And that helps to keep your body within a rhythm. Your body gets used to it.
The Cleveland Clinic also says it's crucial to bring up any long-term sleep problems to your doctor. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
And if there's something you'd like us to verify, keep in mind all you got to do is email us at verify@wcnc.com. Ahead of hurricane season, we are boosting your weather IQ. Next Wednesday, our Weather Impact team will host our WCNC Weather Impact Special. They'll walk us through the hurricane predictions for this year, take a look back at the devastation from Helene, and also explain the science behind hurricanes. You can watch it on air or right here streaming on WCNC Plus, June 4th, 8 p.m.
Me personally, I have a bunch of weather IQs in that. What letters to look out for. Brittany was talking about how the El Nino, La Nina, La Nada is going to affect our hurricane season. Majestic going through the names that you could expect. We got a lot going on there. I'm super pumped. And then, of course, Becca is going to be talking about, hey, how a hurricane can form. Hurricanes also form over in the Pacific, and that's exactly what we're going to see, potentially a tropical storm. That's what 1 means. Tropical Depression 1E means the Eastern Pacific. I think that we're going to be calling this a little bit later on this morning, or at least by this afternoon, Tropical Storm Alvin. So the very first one. Hopefully it's not as menacing as the Chipmunk was. Now, we do expect the western side of Mexico to be impacted by this by the the end of the weekend heading into Monday. I think this is mainly just a rain event. It does look like it slows down a little bit, but it doesn't look to be a major event, just pretty much just general rain, maybe some gusty winds, and hey, you could have worse situations in a severe weather event and a line of thunderstorms like what we could have coming forward. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the details and the breakdown of this coming severe weather event. So we're separating our forecast over the next hour and a half, talking about the what. Now I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the why. Why we see more gusty winds and larger hail. Why is this the best severe weather setup? Well, let's get right to it. From 2 to 8 o'clock, that is our weather alert window. Heavy rain, strong winds, and isolated hail are the main ones that you have to worry about here. However, there's the outside chance that we could have an isolated tornado. This surface map also really telling about what's happening here. So check it out. This low pressure system, the way that it rotates in a counterclockwise rotation, is going to be filtering winds out of the west. So I'm actually coming over here. I want to draw some things on here. So as it rotates everything out of the west, we also have a strong push of moisture coming from the southeast. Notice those crossing arrows? You are looking at the definition of wind shear. Wind shear is the change in wind speed or direction with height. So physically, about a mile up in the atmosphere, we have winds mainly coming out of the west, but then meanwhile here at the surface, it's out of the southwest. That twists the atmosphere. Doesn't just give us a small tornado chance. It also gives us a chance for larger hail. If you have an individual cell with a twist to the atmosphere, that can actually drive it deeper into the upper atmosphere. That makes it stronger. That also brings it into colder temperatures, and that also increases our hail threat. That's why supercells 100% of the time will produce at least some sort of hail, anywhere from pea size up to, we even saw it about the size of hats, 6 inches in diameter. Record is about the size of a volleyball. For our severe weather threat, and that's what this map is, the area of orange that we can see, that's general threat for damaging winds. The tornado threat is much further down towards the southeast, and I think it's really starting to flourish as we get into the latter part of the afternoon. But check out these rotation tracks. Anytime you see this, when you have a line of storms roll through, this is going to catch your attention. So this does look to be the makings of anything you can imagine as far as a severe weather breakout, or at least some severe thunderstorm warnings that are associated with this. And I'm going to show you the best timing. As I mentioned, it was about 2 to 8 o'clock that we see this line. This is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. When the signature looks like that, you're looking at a bow echo, chance for a spin-up tornado within the bookends, north and south thereof, and it looks like this should be clear by 6 o'clock. Slightest chance for a leftover shower behind that, but that is going to be your main window of opportunity. As far as how much rain you're going to see, you could see rain totals upwards to about an inch, inch and a half, depending where some of the heavier cells are going to set up, but all in all, the event is only lasting about 4 to 6 hours, and after that, looking at like a pretty decent weekend. I'll show you my Guy Roofing 7-day forecast again as we cut into NBC programming. But first, we have to hit the morning commute with a majestic storm. See what's going on.
All right, good morning, everyone. Definitely starting to get busy out there. You can see lots of accidents that are ongoing. Still looking at this accident, though. This is the biggest story this morning. It's out in Cleveland County, specifically there in Shelby. This is where a truck has actually crashed into the Comfort Inn near Cleveland Mall. That's in Shelby. Now, the accident really is bringing those backups at Dixon Boulevard near Marion Street. Crews are on their way, still learning more about exactly what happened. As we learn that information, we're for sure get that to you. Want to head into the Uptown area because we do have lots going on here. Still watching this accident where we now have a lot of red popping up. A crash at the Billy Graham Parkway, so that is adding on an additional 5 to 10 minutes for your morning commute. This right here indicating that right-hand lane that is blocked due to a crash on Highway 49. Eastbound lanes are being impacted there. And then as we head to the north just a bit, we're also watching this one. I want to get to this one here because at Stetson Drive, it's currently blocked off at North Tryon Street. A tractor trailer brought down some utility lines near the Waffle House, and Duke Energy is reporting on about 400 people without power because of this ongoing accident.
Thanks. Right now, North Carolina among the top states in the country for clean energy technology, but federal changes could halt some of that progress. The 2022 Inflation Reduction Act provided hundreds of millions of dollars for business tax credits and funding for future EV stations. But now some leaders are pushing to eliminate renewable energy tax credits in the federal budget. Governor Stein says repealing those tax credits could pose a major threat to the state's economy.
7:49 now. Time to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. President Trump's big, beautiful bill includes a proposal to reshape how artificial intelligence is regulated across the country, and it's sparking debate on both sides of the aisle this morning. A massive new bill backed by President Trump could block efforts to regulate artificial intelligence. Let's connect the dots. Tucked inside the $500 million proposal is a ban on state-led AI regulation, even those already on the books. The goal is to push for federal control over how AI is governed. Supporters say state laws are moving too fast and could hurt innovation. But critics argue states need flexibility to protect against deepfakes, scams, and bias in hiring and policing. Even some Republicans, like Senators Josh Hawley and Marsha Blackburn, are pushing back. They say states should be allowed to test their own AI rules until a national plan is in place. Right now, more than 30 states have passed AI-related laws, with more under review. Trump's proposal would wipe them out. The bill passed the House by just one vote and now heads to the Senate. And that's connecting the dots.
This story definitely hits home for us. AI is now making computer-generated reporters and anchors.
And they're being used at the Arizona Supreme Court. NBC's Gotti Schwartz has more.
Okay, TikTok. Impression time.
In a world full of deep fakes,
it's Taylor Swift here.
Hold on just a second, there's a big fire. What happens when the face of your official source of information isn't human, it's AI?
The Arizona Supreme Court has...
Meet Victoria and Daniel, the official AI avatars for the Arizona Supreme Court.
Hey there, I'm Victoria, one of the Arizona Supreme Court's new AI generated court news reporters.
Why? Why are you doing this?
Why? I think it's just an efficient way for us to get news out.
Alberto Rodriguez is a public information officer for the court and helped design his digital co-workers.
So traditional production obviously takes quite amount of manpower.
And how much time does it take for Victoria to do it here?
It takes minutes.
I gotta admit, when she says, I'm Victoria, a news reporter, like my human feelings get hurt as a news reporter.
Yeah.
Do you see this ever replacing like news reporters?
I don't think so.
Arizona's Chief Justice Ann Timmer says it's important to note that everything you hear the avatars say is actually written by the justices themselves.
For years, we took it for granted that of course you trust the courts, of course you trust judges. We're doing our best, but if people don't believe that, it doesn't matter.
However, there are a lot of people out there that don't trust AI.
That's true, but they have to remember this AI, at least that we're using, it's not generative.
The justices said that even if she didn't mean to violate the rules, her actions...
And while the avatars might become the most forward-facing example of AI in the legal system, Justice Timmer points out the law profession is already using AI every day for things like research to document review and analysis.
I come here today a humble pro se before a panel.
One plaintiff in New York even trying to use AI to argue his case before a skeptical appeals panel.
Shut that off!
But with more AI come concerns over instances of AI models citing cases that never existed and potential bias and discrimination that's often found when tapping into large data sets.
I don't see if what your concern is, that, which is a valid one, that will use AI to start substituting for judgment. I don't think that will ever happen.
All ethical concerns in a new era that could end up before Arizona's high court, decided by human justices, but disseminated by something else. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, Phoenix, Arizona.
No, that's not, right?
I mean, we probably are biased on this topic, but I prefer my news anchors real.
I'd like to have a news anchor who is a human being, whose credibility I trust and experience.
And lives in our community and that sort of thing. The thing is, well, honestly, what worries me about this, though, is that we're being very, very reactionary about it. I mean, I think Bill Gates came out a week or two ago and said half of all white-collar entry-level jobs are going to be wiped out in the next few years because of...
Yes.
And I don't exactly have the most faith in some of our leaders to address this before this happens.
Correct, because the technology is only getting better and it's getting quicker.
By the day.
Yes.
And we're reacting after it already happens.
And we need to be proactive on this.
Not good.
All right, moving on. Check this out. Let's talk about summer vacation.
Let's
Flying out of the country this summer is more affordable than ever. Increased airline capacity and lower fuel prices are causing a significant drop in your airfare, especially within the U.S. and for select international destinations. If you're looking to head out of the country, experts say these cities have lower than average prices: Calgary, Sao Paulo, Dublin, and Cabo.
Googling Sao Paulo flights coming up in a break at some point.
That's better.
All right, folks, almost time once again to celebrate some of the best in television. The Gotham Awards happening next week in New York City, and you can see them right here on WCNC Plus. Live stream the celebration Monday night at 7 o'clock. Of course, you know how to do it. You've already downloaded WCNC Plus. Just watch it here for free.
Right now, we're going to take a quick break, but you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to have another update on weather and traffic, including that situation with reports of a car or truck into a hotel there. Majestic will have the latest on that. We'll also be back with the day's top headlines coming up at 8 o'clock.
Good morning, everybody. Starting off with some fog. It's dense in some locations. You have a quarter mile right around Statesville. Getting a little bit better to the east and southeast, and we will see a significant improvement in the fog in the next hour or so. By the afternoon, upper 70s to around 80 degrees. It feels humid today, y'all. And we're also looking at a chance for some developing thunderstorms. I think the best chance for rain is later on this evening. Tomorrow, though, we are weather alert for your Friday. It's mainly between the 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. hours. So I think mid to late afternoon. Highest chance for storms, damaging winds going to be a possibility, large hail, and even an isolated tornado. Then for the weekend, feeling better, lower 80s. Great weekend to look forward to. Majestic, quite the situation in Cleveland County.
We are watching it very carefully. Let's take it right to it. I'm going to show you my live traffic maps here. Heading out to Shelby, that's where we are following this ongoing accident. It's a truck accident where a truck did crash into the Comfort Inn near the Cleveland Mall in Shelby. This is right between Dixon Boulevard and East Marion Street. You can see all those backups there, sending crews out to that situation to learn more about it. And once we do, we'll be sure to give you the latest. Another one here just east of the Uptown area is bringing some big backups here. It's on Stetson Drive. It's currently blocked off at North Tryon Street because a tractor trailer brought down some power lines, and it actually is pulling out a lot of power outages near the area near Waffle House. So take it easy.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. Happening right now, an exciting new addition of a fast food chain is opening in the Charlotte area. The region's first Whataburger is set to open any minute now in Gastonia.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devay now live there this morning. And Richard, I've never eaten a Whataburger. Have you?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So, Richard, tell us what the big deal is here.
Oh, guys, are you serious? I have been, well, they sent the right person, the person who's probably eaten more Whataburgers at the station than anybody else. Used to live in Texas, so I know a lot about it. As a matter of fact, I'll give you guys a quiz. We'll spot the lie of my personal Whataburger experiences right after this. But first, I want to just step out of the way, let Ruben show you. Folks have been lining up here all night. Actually, some folks pulled up in the drive-thru. There's some folks in the drive-thru we'll talk to in just a little bit. This is a big event. And of course, we've got the CEO of Whataburger right here, Debbie Stroud. First of all, as Ruben comes back over here, we'll just ask you, how excited is it today?
Listen, this is a fantastic day for us at Whataburger. This is the first opening in our 17th state, and so North Carolina, thank you for the warm welcome. We can't wait to share our love of bold flavors and extraordinary hospitality with all of you.
Tell us a little bit about what folks, you just kind of touched on it. If you've never been to Whataburger, what can folks expect? This is just the first of several openings in our area, right?
It is, and so what you can expect, when I say bold flavors, we're talking about fresh, never frozen beef, and it's a hamburger so big that you have to hold two hands, to eat it. And we chop our vegetables fresh every morning, and it's just a wonderful place where you can gather after football games or, after school activities. It's just a place where we gather together and celebrate.
And some of the things we have at this particular location today, tell us about that.
Oh, well, today we're welcoming everybody into our very first location, and we have certainly our fans that are here to share the fun with us. But we're going to celebrate with the community, do some community events, have some fun giveaways, and we just welcome everybody to come out and see what it's all about.
It's really exciting, and Debbie, thank you so much. She actually paused it just to speak to us. How cool is that? Hey, we got the first folks in line. You guys are actually, Ruben, come over here. You came all the way up to be the first person in line. Tell us your name.
Chris.
And you're from?
Spartanburg.
Why'd you come up here? Why'd you drive up here and you're the first in line?
Because I wanted to come up here, be up here at Whataburger.
Do you like the burgers?
Yeah. My uncle made me come.
Your uncle, you made him come?
Yep.
Why'd you make him come?
Hey.
It's good.
It's, the more the merrier.
The more the merrier. They came up here. They're the first people in line. I'll step out of the way. And now I'm going to ask you guys, I've been, I used to live in Texas, so I got 3. I'm going to see if you can spot the lie. Guys, are you ready?
All right.
We're ready, Richard.
Are you ready for me to tell you that?
Yep.
Do it.
Okay, here we go. First one. I started working at a Whataburger in high school. Actually started doing the fries. That was a favorite job. Did it through high school and the first year of college. Really enjoyed it. That was one.
Okay.
Number 2, I fell asleep after a night out of party, no alcohol involved, fell asleep in a Whataburger line, and actually cars just drove right around us. When we woke up, we were like, oh, no one's in line. We were able to drive up. Whataburger was still open, of course. We were able to get our food. And number 3, I was so popular at one Whataburger, I would just drive up to the window. The guy knew me, the manager, after a while. The lines would be super long. I was working at a television station, and they would always bring me out a Coke with just a little bit of ice, and this was free. And then people would look at me and they'd be like, he's okay, he's okay, he's good. Those are the 3. Take time. We'll come back and you'll tell us if you figured it out. Which one is not true?
I think the first one is the lie.
Do you know now?
I think
the first one. You didn't work there.
2 and 3 were too specific.
We right, Richard?
If I started on fries, that's too specific. Actually, I'm going to tell you, you guys are pretty good. The first one is semi-true. I worked at a Burger King in college and high school. So that was true, but the other 2 stories, absolutely true. When I worked at Channel 11 in Dallas, I worked on the assignment desk overnights, late at night, drive up, they'd give me the Coke. And back in, me and my best friend were out partying one night, no alcohol involved. We just got tired, fell asleep in the drive-thru line. That was on Buffalo Speedway location in Houston. So you guys are good.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're
Majestic
journalists for a
should have weighed
reason.
in. She wouldn't have got it.
We're journalists for a reason.
That's a great story. Thanks so much for sharing,
Yes, you
Richard.
are. Guys, we'll send it back to you. I'm going to go and get something to eat. I'll see you guys
appreciate
shortly.
his enthusiasm for his story today.
And I bet he's going to get a burger and a Coke with a little bit of ice while he's out there.
Probably so. Good.
All right, Chris?
Well, I just so happen to have this Whataburger forecast that we totally just didn't make while Richard was talking. And that looks delicious, right? You might have a slight chance for a shower, but I think you're staying dry. Overall, it's an overcast time, but I think you will have a few bright spots during this period for the late morning heading into the early afternoon. And I only knew that that was the one lie for Richard because he is from up north. Just listen to his accent. They have no Whataburgers out there. It wasn't until I went to school at Florida State that I got to enjoy how great a Whataburger truly is. The Lylesville camera right now, you can still see that fog off in the distance. That's been the biggest deal that we've had so far this morning. It's really over the next hour that we can burn a lot of that fog off. And areas that are foggy now will still look pretty overcast beyond that. Sometimes when you have a high camera like this, you can also see what the sky conditions are up above. So that means we do have a chance for a few holes in the cloud cover, but clouds definitely going to win our horizon today. High temperatures right around 80 degrees. We have the upper 70s to about that 80 degree point all in all. High temperatures are going to, in general, be around 80 degrees over the next 5 days or so. Our Futurecast dew points showing that they're anywhere for about 65 to 68 during the afternoon. That's uncomfortable. That's sticky. That's not fantastic. And then our sticky atmosphere starts to wind down a little bit for tomorrow morning, but we do see a little bit of a jump of that red that's representing that uncomfortable air, but also some storm fuel. And then after that, we actually drying out nicely. So we're back to that no problem range and a little bit stickier by Sunday, but at least we don't have that uncomfortable muggy air that will be pretty much our daily norm going forward about a month from now. Window for storms today between about 3 and 9. We have a chance for heavy rain, lightning and strong winds. I think really anytime during the evening you have a chance for rain, but I'm specifically talking about storms where you have the biggest impacts of your day. Check out what our Futurecast is alluding to. Still an overcast day, slight chance for a little bit of sunshine here and there. Here's 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock I think is our first signs that, hey, maybe a storm's starting to brew. It's a better chance, I think, especially mid to late evening, but then things really start to fill in the gaps for our most widespread and scattered rain, 8 to about midnight, and then beyond that, we are done, and then we get ready for round 2. And that's where we have a weather alert day, 2 to 8 o'clock. So our heavy rain, our strong winds, and isolated hail are the big 3 that are going to be impacted here as a strong line of storms pushes through. Check it out. Here's 1 o'clock. At this point, you have a loose line of storms that are starting to organize themselves. We open up the window by 2 o'clock because that's where things really start to organize and pick up a little bit. By the way, this is the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is you have more breaks here and you don't have as widespread of a rain event. But check it out. You have some notches here, some isolated activity that's representing maybe a supercell potentially along this line. Any individual storm is going to be the hail maker once it starts to bow, and we do see signs of that. Check it out. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. If the signature looks like that, when I say signature, I'm talking about what the radar looks like at this point or at any point, that's your best chance for widespread wind damage. That's a bow echo. So along that leading edge, it actually jets out because the super strong winds within it pushes part of the storm forward. Meanwhile, the bookends, the tops of it, can sometimes have a spin-up tornado. So we do have a threat for a chance for a spin-up tornado, strong winds, number 1, and then if we have an individual cell before that, you could potentially see some of that hail. By about 6 o'clock, even though we have a window about 2 to 8, I think we're going to be clearing out, and we do have a slight chance for a secondary shower behind that, but I think the atmosphere is pretty much spent at that point. Rainfall chances, I do keep an isolated one around for the weekend. I think each day, Saturday and Sunday, especially around the I-40 corridor, do have a chance of developing shower and or storm, but tomorrow is the only day that really stands out from all the rest. Yes, today has an outside chance that you have 1, 2 tops severe thunderstorm warnings on their own. Friday, you could have multiple ones along that line, all depending what this line does. By the weekend, either side of 80 degrees, and then back to the upper 80s by the middle of next week. And it starts to feel a lot warmer and it'll feel more humid at that point as well, but at least we have a nice weekend to look forward to. Now let's head over to our morning commute. Majestic, what's going on today?
All right, well, we've been following this all morning long where a truck has crashed into the Comfort Inn. This is in Cleveland County. County, specifically in Shelby. Our WCNC crews have officially made it on scene now, and this is a live look of that ongoing situation. I mean, look at that right there. Again, a truck crashing into the Comfort Inn. Let's get over to my live traffic maps now, because I'm going to show you exactly where that is on the map. So as we head over towards Shelby, I'm going to zoom it in to exactly where those impacts are. You can see all of that red there indicating stop and go traffic. So where the crash is, it's near the Cleveland Mall between Dixon Boulevard near Marion Street. So if you typically drive this way today, you're not going to want to do that because of those big impacts there. A lot of people are stopping and looking at what's going on, but also the traffic is just really backed up at this point. Again, we have that live look of what's going on, and we're still seeing that congestion on my map as well. As we head towards the Uptown area, lots still going on. This is our newest accident that I want to let you know about, though. It's a crash on Sharon Amity Road near Central Ave. Seeing some medium impacts there. Live look outside I-77 at York County coming in from South Carolina. Good morning to everyone. Area roadways are dry. It's overcast, and we're not seeing anything too out of the ordinary there. Want to show you a peek at our morning drive times now. If you're coming into the Charlotte area from Matthews, about 25 minutes to get you there. From Waxhaw to Charlotte, about 48 minutes. So again, the biggest story right now will be that truck that did crash into the Comfort Inn out in Cleveland County, specifically in Shelby. We'll have another update on that coming up in just a few. Lisa.
Majestic, thanks. 8:11 now. This morning, city and community leaders are seeking solutions to the growing problem of youth violence.
One man hopes that his summer programs can be a turning point for at-risk teens. James Ford, the executive director over at the Boys and Girls Club of York and Chester counties, he says it's really important for kids to see positive role models who overcame the same obstacles teens are facing now.
I am a person that had a friend that had a bad moment when I was 16, he was 17. He's just getting out of jail now. I've lived a whole life, 26 years in the Army and another 10 years on this job. And that is a real or as a powerful message as there can be.
The Boys and Girls Club has free summer programs that combine academics, mentorship, and career exposure. Each student also required to take a crime prevention course. You can find out more inside the WCNC mobile app. Right now in Huntersville, a master plan is in development for a vacant farm that was acquired by Mecklenburg County. Before it's developed, leaders are seeking your input. As WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson found out, the county says it's looking to make this a space that represents what the community wants to see.
Well, this 38-acre property behind me with white picket fences and tall grass on Brown Hill Road has kept this part of Huntersville feeling rural on a busy corridor. Mecklenburg County purchased this land years ago, and now it's moving forward with plans to transform it into Edgewater Farm Park.
That area in particular is growing at such a rapid rate that we heard from residents it is important to not only preserve just the agricultural focus, but also the ecological and biological needs of the site.
In a place where new development is common, quiet, untouched spaces like this one are increasingly hard to find.
There's a real absence of passive recreation spaces in the northern half of the county. There's also dwindling amounts of farmland up there too.
But this particular corner at Beatty's Ford Road and NC 73 is expected to keep its charm, thanks to two proposed master plans. Both aim to blend agriculture, conservation, recreation, and education into one multi-use public space. Just next door, Ann Rust runs Woodring Farm and says preserving the rural feel is more important than ever.
Yep. A lot of the agricultural areas around here are just going away, and it's sad to see what all's happening to this area.
But this project isn't just about holding on to the past, it's about building a future where farmers and families can thrive.
You know, the hope is that the site will become a resource for not only current farmers, but also potential new farmers.
Well, the county will hold a meeting on the two designs for this property on June 3rd from 5 to 7 p.m. Now, they are already at capacity for that meeting and said they will post everything from the meeting online. Reporting in Huntersville, Walker Lawson, WCNC Charlotte.
Harvard University surrendering photographs believed to be the earliest taken of enslaved people. The original images, captured on metal tablets, will be given to a South Carolina museum devoted to African American history. It's part of a settlement with one of the subject's descendants. The images of Renty Taylor and his daughter Delia were taken 175 years ago by a Harvard scientist whose theories on race were then used to justify slavery in the U.S. Renty's great-great-great-granddaughter, Tamara Lanier, sued Harvard over the images. She calls the settlement historic.
This landmark settlement is not just a victory for my family, it's a victory for every descendant who has carried the weight of a stolen past and dared to demand it back. This pilfered property, images taken without dignity or consent and used to promote a racist pseudoscience, will now be repatriated to a home where their stories can be told and their humanity can be restored.
In addition to giving up the images, there's also an undisclosed financial settlement in this resolution with Harvard. 8:15 right now here on WCNC Plus. A major blow this morning to President Trump's economic policy. A federal court blocking most of his tariffs, calling them unconstitutional.
As NBC's Alice Barr explains, it comes as Elon Musk prepares to leave the administration behind.
A major shakeup in President Trump's tariff plans as a federal trade court ruled he had exceeded his authority and blocked most of the tariffs he's imposed so far, including the 10% rate on most trading partners, the massive reciprocal tariffs that were paused, the steepest levies on China, and the fentanyl-related tariffs on Canada and Mexico. A 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of International Trade said the Trump administration could not rely on emergency powers cited in his executive orders to assume unbounded tariff authority without input from Congress. The White House immediately appealed, with a spokesperson saying it's not for unelected judges to decide how to address a national emergency. Shortly before the ruling, President Trump defended his tariff strategy against a new Wall Street term, referencing that he, quote, chickens out with frequently changing rates.
You call that chickening out? It's called negotiation. You set a number.
Attorneys general from Arizona and Oregon led the legal challenge, calling the tariffs an illegal abuse of power and the court ruling a victory for working families. It comes as close Trump advisor Elon Musk ended his time as a special government employee one day after criticizing the president's one big beautiful budget bill.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly. Which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
The bill that passed through the House includes massive tax cuts and immigration spending increases, and some Republican senators say not enough spending cuts.
And as several Republican senators signaled they'll want significant changes before approving that bill, President Trump acknowledged that he's not happy with some aspects of it, while thrilled with others. He said there will be more negotiations. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
This morning, people are waking up to more storm damage in central Texas. Take a look at what the storm did to this gas station. This is in Austin. You can see part of a large canopy there collapsed onto several cars. Winds also toppled trees and power lines. There are reports the wind gusts were about 75 miles per hour at the airport at one point. It's still not clear if there were any injuries.
Well, ahead of hurricane season, we are boosting your weather IQ. Next Wednesday, our Weather Impact team will host a special Hurricane IQ Weather Impact Special. We're going to walk you through the hurricane predictions this year. Also, take a look back at the devastation from Helene and explain the science behind hurricanes. You can watch it on air or right here streaming on WCNC Plus June 4th at 8 p.m.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for this special. A lot of hard work by our weather team. But yeah, we're raising your hurricane IQ, pretty much everything you need to know within an hour time frame, and 2 ways to watch, right? Well, I also want to talk about the Pacific Ocean. Now, we are specifically talking about the Atlantic hurricane season because that's what affects us here in the Carolinas. But what you're looking at right now is a 35 mile per hour sustained tropical depression Tropical Depression 1. That -E, by the way, just represents the Eastern Pacific. It'll say a -L for when it has to deal with the Atlantic. Now, a little bit closer look. I'm going to zoom in here. Check it out. Once we get to a little bit later on today, we're calling for 45-mile-per-hour sustained winds. That would actually make this a tropical storm. So this will turn into Tropical Storm Alvin. Yep, just like the chipmunk in the band. We have a midnight speed about 60 miles per hour to about noon on Friday. And then beyond that, you can see that this thing significantly weakens as it's working its way into Mexico. So don't really expect anything major associated with the system. I think it's mainly just going to be a rain event going forward. Winds down to 25 miles per hour, which would be just a remnant low at that point. So a quick look at the tropics. Decided to tell you about that one here on WCNC Plus, since we were talking about hurricane season. So it's already officially begun, or unofficially begun, over in the Pacific Ocean, which, by the way, June 1st, this Sunday, we're officially calling it hurricane season here in the Atlantic. Ooh. Severe thunderstorms. Well, when? Today we have a chance for an isolated severe thunderstorm, but I think we could have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings by tomorrow, especially between about 2 and 6. Our wide window is about 2 to 8. That keeps it around just in case this does slow down, but right in the heart of that is where I think we have the gustiest winds, the largest hail, and haven't added it to the list, we do have a chance for an isolated tornado. So stay weather aware, and also you can stream us here on WCNC Plus. We'll be following the storms. Brad's really good about doing this, and I think likely Brittany will probably be helping in as well. Heavy rain, strong winds, and isolated hail. That's what we're going to see when this line is pushing through. And once you hit 2 o'clock, realistically, we have strong thunderstorms in the area. The setup is perfect. Whenever you're under the umbrella of what's called a mid-latitude cyclone, that simply is a cold front attached to a low, attached to a warm front. This warm sector is the most unstable. It blasts in extra moisture, and right underneath the low pressure system is often the highest wind shear. And wind shear is just a change of wind direction and also wind speed with height. And then eventually a front will start to edge back in, giving us a few rain chances to the north heading into the weekend. So our severe weather risk, breaking it down for you, we have a very low chance for tornadoes, but it does encompass the Charlotte area, and then a medium threshold for larger hail. But I think the number one, the best chance is going to be for damaging winds. That's the highest threat by far. Tornado threat is about a 2% chance. This map that you're seeing here in the background simply just means that there is a medium threat for all the above. Now, our future cast rotation tracks have shown that they start to pop up anywhere between about 2 and 4. Whenever you have this on the map, that has shown that you have enough twists to the atmosphere, and that's really worth watching. And then there's also a good damaging wind threat that's associated with this. It's just going to dive those 60-mile-per-hour winds down to the surface. So we're watching really by about the middle of the afternoon. Best case scenario is the system breaks up, and that's what this model is showing you. But still, I think especially south of I-85, good chance, especially between about 3 and 6, for some stronger thunderstorms. Stay weather aware, stay weather alert for your Friday. Great weekend to follow, though. You'll see your Guy Roofing 70 forecast coming up. But first, we have to hit the roads with majestic storms been active.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start with this because we've been following a big accident this morning. Our WCNC crews are currently on scene. You can see exactly what's going on. A truck has crashed into a motel, the Comfort Inn. This is in Shelby, North Carolina, right here in Cleveland County. Again, this is a live scene of what's going on. You can see people are already there trying to clean up what has happened. Again, we don't have any reports of any injuries, so that's some good news there. But our reporter, Destiny, just got to the scene, and she's going to continue to bring us new information. I believe we're going to get an interview from her around 8:30 this morning. But again, what you're looking at here is a truck that crashed into the Comfort Inn Motel in Shelby, bringing some major backups and concerns this morning. I want to switch over to my live traffic maps now just to give you more perspective of what we're looking at. So out towards Shelby, it's going to really impact your morning commute. I'm going to head back over to my live traffic maps just to show you a little bit of where we're seeing that red there. It's been ongoing now for over an hour, and you can see exactly where that red is. It's going to bring some backups. We're getting some reports that it's actually bringing about 10 to 15 additional minutes for that morning commute, and it's over towards the mall. You can see this red right here, so it's out towards Highway 74 where it intersects at Dixon Boulevard and Marion. So again, if you typically drive that way, you're not going to want to take that direction. Another route that you could take would be Highway 180. Beatty. So continuing to follow that of course is the biggest story there. If we can take that live look one more time just to get another perspective of what's going on, there we go. Our WCNC crews making it to the scene, and you can see what happened. That truck crashed in to the Comfort Inn Motel. Looks like there was lots of wood on that truck. We have not had any reports of anyone getting injured at this point. Somebody from the Exxon over towards that area, employee there, did say that she saw this happen. Hopefully we're going to get a report from our Destiny coming up in just a few minutes. But for now, this is the biggest story as we're looking at the roads, again, really impacting Highway 74 out in Shelby.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much for that update. Check this out. One local student is taking it to the next level in spelling. Aishuya Kulakori of Concord is in the Scripps National Spelling Bee Finals. The 14-year-old attends Valor Prep Academy. She will compete against 8 other finalists tonight for the coveted Scripps Cup and the cash prize. Now, this isn't her first time. She also competed last year, tying for 23rd in the semifinals. If she wins, she'll be the first speller from North Carolina to win since 1970. Good luck to her. I know you were a former spelling bee champ of sorts.
Never quite to that level, I don't think. Maybe like my 5th grade class, but that's about as far as I ever got. All right, let's go live pictures right now over uptown as we take a quick break. We're going to be back with a look at your forecast and that breaking news out of Shelby, that truck that went into a motel. We're going to have a live report from the scene coming up in just about 5 minutes right here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning. Our fog situation doing much better. About a mile visibility around Statesville, much better than about a quarter mile that we had not too long ago. Hour by hour today. Overall, it's an overcast day. We'll have a mostly cloudy sky, so a brighter stint here and there. It's a muggy day as well with chances for storms, certainly to end the afternoon. I think the highest chance for rain is really after the sun sets up until about midnight. The best chance for storms, though, this week are weather alert day. That's the middle of the afternoon on Friday. This is where you're expecting gusty winds, even a chance for an isolated tornado and some larger hail, mainly between about 2 and 6 o'clock for the Charlotte area. The lower 80s through the weekend. Most of the area stays dry, but we'll have a slight chance for rain. Much warmer heading in the middle of next week. Now we have to get over to Majestic, who's had a very active start to your morning commute.
All right, good morning, everyone. Want to take you out to Cleveland County, where we are live on scene. This is our WCNC crews there, where a truck has ran into a Comfort Inn. We've seen this crash now. You can see this is our live look there. This is out in Shelby, so you can see the truck is there. There's wood spilled all over, and emergency responders are on scene. Let's switch it on over now to my live traffic maps. Want to give you some perspective of where this is. So again, Shelby, this is in Cleveland County. We're seeing all of this red right here, showing you that traffic is at a stop and go or just simply stopped at this point. Again, that tractor trailer ran into the Comfort Inn off of Dixon Boulevard. That's Highway 74 and Marion Street. This is in Shelby. So if you typically drive that way, you'll want to avoid that. We will have another update for you as our reporter is there live on scene in Shelby.
You are streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30 on this Thursday. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. We want to get straight to some breaking news we're following right now in Shelby, where a car drove through part of a motel.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards arrived at that scene just moments ago. She joins us live now. Destiny, what can you tell us about what happened there?
Yeah, right now we just know that this happened in the 5 o'clock hour this morning. We can still see that semi-truck in the side of the Comfort Inn. Again, this is in Shelby off of Dixon Boulevard and Marion Street. Dixon Boulevard, aka US 74, so a major roadway here in the Shelby area. And right now we're just seeing some folks hovered outside of the motel. They may be associated with the Comfort Inn here. As for more information on injuries or anything else about this crash, right now Shelby Fire is telling us that their chief will be the one to give us information. The chief is not here on the scene right now, so right now do not have any further details about the crash, just that it happened early this morning around 5:42. So right now we're just seeing a very active scene as there's a tow truck on scene. There's a lot of traffic in the area. As you can see, lots of debris from just the cleanup of this, but it's still very early on since all of this is happening. So right now, in terms of more information about injuries, that is still to come. But for now, reporting live in Shelby, Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
And Destiny, just some incredible video there. Kind of hard to tell because it looked like that truck was carrying some of the wood strips there, the pallets we see. Can you kind of paint the picture for us, just and for folks who are watching at home to kind of see exactly what happened there? It looks like there's something into the side of that motel, but really hard to make that out.
Yeah, so the metal that you're seeing out of the building is obviously the front of the truck where the driver was. And in the back, we are seeing just a lot of wood planks. Hard to tell what exactly it is for, but just wood planks that are strapped and covered in tarp as well on the back. Lots of wood planks there to be cleaned up. That's mainly what we're seeing happening right now here on the scene. So nothing has actually been towed away. It's a lot of just removing this debris in order to get everything out. So still not sure exactly what the truck is for, exactly how this happened. All very early on information that we're trying to get this morning.
So it's limited what we can see. So is the truck still in the motel? That's I think that's what we're having a hard time trying to picture here.
Yeah, it's still in there. If you go, if we're looking a little bit closer to the hotel, you can see one of the windows where the glass is missing, and you can see the front of the semi-truck in there. So you have this vehicle that is taking away some of those wood planks right now. So that's mainly what's happening behind the truck. But yeah, it is definitely still in the building.
And Majestic's chiming in here in studio. She wanted to know, when it comes to the traffic there, is the traffic stopped there on 74, or is it just going at a slow pace?
Yeah, it's just going at a slow pace right now. Crews do have the right lane of Dixon Boulevard closed just as you pass the intersection, so it's slow as you approach the intersection, and then it has traffic moving to the left, and then once you pass the hotel, then everything reopens again. So it's just at the scene of this crash.
But certainly an impact for the people who travel that way as part of their morning commute. All right, Destiny Richards reporting live from the scene there in Shelby. Thank you so much for that report. Let's check in with Majestic now to find out just about the impacts of that crash this morning.
Well, that has definitely been the biggest story now. I want to show you now just my live traffic maps, putting things into perspective for you. So again, that's out in Cleveland County, specifically in Shelby, and that's where I have seen a lot of backups there, but it's good to know that really the traffic is really being impacted right at the Comfort Inn, where that truck did crash into the building, just like that live shot that Destiny brought to us. So if you typically take that way, it seems like you can get around it. It's just going to take a little longer to get to where you need to be, so make sure you do plan accordingly. Let's talk about some of these accidents that are ongoing. Let's talk about this one here, seeing some medium impacts. Sharon Amity Road, there's a crash there near Central Ave. In addition to that, I'm following this one closely. East Boulevard crash there near Euclid Ave. Multiple things ongoing this morning, but again, the biggest story will be out there in Shelby. We'll continue to follow that very carefully for you. If you typically take Pineville Matthews Providence Road. There's a crash right now showing lots of red. Westbound lanes are being impacted by that where it intersects at Providence Road. As we zoom it on out, yes, we do have our typical red indicating that stop and go traffic as people are heading out the door, but we're still seeing some pockets of some fog. So just be ready for changing road conditions, especially if you're traveling north up towards Statesville. There's a live look outside. Those area roadways right now are nice and dry, but Chris, you say some rain and possible storms are ahead?
Yeah, and I think it's one of those days that we're waiting for the storms for quite some time. There's a good chance you don't see anything until you might be asleep. And our best chance for rain really spreads across the evening, and I'll show you that. But quite the sky. We have clouds of all different levels. You see some of those upper level cirrostratus over there, some cumulus clouds also off in the distance right here. The reason why I'm pointing this out is since you have clouds at all different levels, that doesn't allow for a lot of sunshine. Because, hey, you might be clear at a mile up, but you're not at 2 miles. You might be clear at a mile up, but not so much at the surface. So it's more of an overcast day today is really what I'm trying to explain to you in a more complicated manner. And it also doesn't help that we have the ground cloud, fog off in the distance. Look at Lylesville. Yeah, you can see this starting to lift up. As we warm up fog, it starts to rise. And that's what makes fog so tricky. And that's why we call it patchy and dense, because it kind of jumps up and down, moves it all around. And then that allows for fluctuating visibilities. But now it's starting to just move up. Visibilities in miles, about 2.5 in Statesville. That is so much better than where we were. We are looking at visibilities down to a 1/4 mile to a goose egg. So glad to see that that's a nice improvement. In Monroe, you can see a lot further off in the distance. But we're also given a good example that you can see a little bit of blue sky from place to place. So that's why today I'm calling it a mostly cloudy to an overcast one. High temperatures in the mid-70s around Hickory and the foothills, around 80 degrees for the greater Charlotte area, and some of us in the upper 70s is a nice consolation prize. Our best window for storms is late afternoon. I think it's really after 3 that we start to see signs of this. Heavy rain, lightning, and strong winds will all be a possibility. Outside of that, I think it's just a general rain from about 8 to midnight. But this is the best chance for at least some thunder and lightning and bigger impacts as far as the storms are concerned. Here's 3 o'clock. At this point, you're seeing a few isolated storms here and there. Notice how areas of the yellow, we have a strong storm labeled. The reason why I'm saying that is it's a little bit more widespread. Typical just rain up in the mountains. Could have a rumble of thunder here. Since that's more widespread, just general rain, it actually stabilizes the atmosphere slightly. But since we don't have as much here for the heating of the afternoon, and it's also a super muggy day, any storm that forms in this zone could turn over to be a strong one, even an isolated severe thunderstorm warning. I just don't want you to get caught off guard by that activity, but we have a better chance of staying dry. But then notice once you get to about 8 o'clock, this model really shows it. By about 8 to midnight, that's where we could have some widespread rain, a decent soaking as you're either going to bed or maybe actively in bed, as I will be during that time frame. Here's Friday at 11 a.m. This now transitions to our next chance for severe storms. We are officially under a weather alert day because of the impacts of gusty winds, large hail, and even an isolated tornado between 2 and 8. But I think it's right in the middle of that window, close to about the 4 to 6 o'clock hour, that we have some of the biggest impacts. But it really opens up as early as 2, and I think by about 7 to 8 o'clock, we are in the clear. Here's a severe weather risk. A low chance for tornadoes, but it's still a chance. Isolated hail up to 1 inch plus, but I think the biggest one, that's why I put the weather alert logo here, is damaging winds. And we have that moderate threshold that's going to be associated with this. Whenever you have this setup, that's a warm front, low, and a cold front, and you're right near the low, that's always going to be a weather alert day unless there's some other weird factor that's inhibiting it. The reason why I say that is because this type of scenario, this time of year, leads to the most widespread storm activity. So a little bit closer to the arrival of that front, which will be in the middle of the afternoon, it's also the peak instability. So I think we also have some sunshine that's around before the clouds start to roll in. Here's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 to 5. If there's any sort of bow like this, that's going to lead to some of the gustiest winds. By about 6 to 7, it'll be well off towards the east. This is also a good example that if you live east of I-77, storms will be at the strongest. I'm going to take a closer look at all the different impacts as far as the tornado threat, the wind damage threat, all the above as this system rolls through, and a better look at the weekend. I'll see you soon.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. Happening right now, an exciting new addition is opening in the Charlotte area. The region's first Whataburger is opening this morning in Gastonia.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Vane now live there this morning. And Richard, you are there, and people have actually been lining up to be the first to go.
Absolutely correct, Ben. Some folks have lined up as late as yesterday or as early as yesterday afternoon, if you can believe it. A lot of excitement here. They just had the ribbon cutting for this Whataburger. This is the 17th state that Whataburger is now in. Started back 75 years ago in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's got the, as you can see, the burnt orange colors and everything. And a lot of folks have been out here this morning trying to find out, like this gentleman right here, he's being interviewed by he's a local celebrity now.
Hey, how you doing?
Scott Elam, you were here since when?
4 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday.
You must love those burgers.
I'm from Texas. I've been here 10.5 years. I only get Whataburger twice a year now when I go home. So now I get Whataburger every week.
And just tell folks who've never been to Whataburger what it's like to have a Whataburger.
It's hard to describe if you haven't had one. They're never frozen. The beef, it's like grilling out at home. So it's a big, tasty burger. I don't know how to explain it.
And he's got, this signifies he was the first person in line right there. He's in the drive-thru on the other side. He drove here. He's got some other little goodies, even a Charlotte FC hat and some other things in here. Look at that. But that's the socks, the Whataburger socks. And he's going to get a deal where he gets a bunch of burgers, like burgers every week or something like that, or every month.
Burgers.
52 burgers, a burger every week. And then, of course, he'll do some other stuff like that. This event, let me tell you a little bit about the economic impact it's have locally. They actually interviewed over 400 people. They hired 130 people here, including several management positions, I should say, they also hired. So this has a big economic impact for this area. This area along Franklin Boulevard is growing. Spoke to someone from the chamber. They said they're excited about this restaurant and what it means for this area. And for those people who are fans of Whataburger, who want to try out Whataburger, now this is the first one. There's one going to be in Hickory over the Mint Hill area. Ruben is telling me there's one that they're building in the Mooresville area. So there's a lot of these locations opening up. Folks will get a chance to go out there and have their Whataburger. It's a Texas tradition, but they're North Carolina proud. A lot of the folks, including the two first folks that we spoke to in line, both from the Tar Heel State. I'm going to go eat because they're going to open at 9 o'clock, and I'm going to go get something to eat. Okay, guys? I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to go get something to eat. I'm going to get my Coke with a little bit of ice.
I mean, we can hear the energy in his delivery there that he is looking forward to getting something.
He's a diehard. He's a diehard. All right. Richard, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, well, it gets back to the breaking news we've been following in the last hour here on WCNC Plus in Shelby, where a car drove through part of a motel.
Our Destiny Richards is at that scene now, and I believe she's learned some more information. Destiny, what can you tell us? Give us an update.
Yeah, right at 8:30, we learned from the Shelby police that it was actually a truck that ran the stoplight. So that was the cause of this crash. We're going to look over again at the damage that is still here. It's definitely going to be a big cleanup job this morning. But we know that around 5 o'clock this morning, the semi-truck was traveling west on Dixon Boulevard, ran the stoplight at the intersection of East Marion Street, and the truck hit two vehicles and then struck the corner of the Comfort Inn here at the intersection. Two people from the vehicles that were struck were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and then the truck driver was not injured. No one from the Comfort Inn was injured. It was evacuated, and the investigation is ongoing. So thankfully, no one seriously hurt in this crash, but again, it's still very early in the investigation right now. We just know that this truck driver has run a stoplight. So if you can see where the intersection is, it's just right here. So they clearly were coming west and then ran that stoplight and then ran into the corner here at the Comfort Inn. So exactly the cause of the reason why he ran the stoplight, things like that, that is yet to be determined. We do see someone here that has a bandage on their hand sitting with police. We don't know if that is the driver at this time. Again, fire and police are not talking to us right now on scene, but we're just right now just witnessing the cleanup of this truck, and we'll continue to follow this throughout the morning. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Shelby.
And Destiny, they still have to pull that truck out of the motel, yes?
Yeah. So as you can see here, just very much damage in this hotel. The extent of the damage unknown right now as far as the interior, but on the outside you can see just the front. If you think of the front of a semi-truck where the driver's sitting, that entire part is inside of the building. Wow. And then the bed of the truck that had all of those wood planks, that is what is sticking outside. So just through the window in the side of the building, you can see the front of the truck lodged in there. So right now we're seeing some people who are walking around from the inside of the hotel. They walked out and in. So at this time, no injuries that we're hearing of, and thankfully everybody was able to make it in and out safely.
Thank goodness, no serious injuries.
And amazing that you had guests at that hotel overnight, and
right.
What it was like for them waking up to something like that, and the fact that nobody was injured is just surprising.
Remarkable.
Wow. All right, Destiny, thank you so much. We appreciate that. 8:45 right now here on WCNC Plus, and thousands of students will be playing catch up today after a computer outage prevented students from finishing their end of year testing. The North Carolina Department of Public Instruction says a system error caused NC tests to malfunction. The outage lasted about 40 minutes, impacted 120,000 students. The state says schools have two options now for the tests: either resume the testing today or completely start them over. We've
been talking about these tests a lot. They're called EOGs, which is end of grade tests, and preparing for them, all the things. And so she was telling me, how did the test go? Yesterday is the first question I asked when I picked her up. She's like, well, I was finished with one question. I hit next on my Chromebook to go to the next one. It didn't work. And I told my teacher and everybody in our whole class. And then we learned it wasn't our whole class. It was the whole school and the whole district. And guess what? The whole state. So there you go.
And here Mom is reporting on it the next morning here on the news. How about that?
All right, well, let's talk about sleeping now, because if you didn't know, May is considered Better Sleep Month. It's safe to say that we've all had those nights where we stay up later than we should.
Especially on this shift, right? But could not getting enough sleep be doing more harm to your health than you even realize? WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
Some people are night owls, others are early birds. But how can this affect your sleep? Let's verify.
Verify, we went to the Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Carla Robinson with Urban House Call, and cardiologist Dr. Pyle Coley. Everyone is different when it comes to sleep.
Some people feel better when they wake up super early and go to bed on time, so they're kind of early risers, and other people feel better and more sort of rested and restored if they do the opposite schedule. There's also some people who have something called short sleeper, which is that they don't need a lot of sleep.
But it can have adverse health effects if you don't get enough sleep. The Cleveland Clinic mentions a greater risk of conditions like depression. Dr. Robinson says there's a lot of other impacts as well.
We do know that sleep deprivation as a whole certainly has been linked to many health conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, and many other issues. And so we know that for people who tend to be night owls, they may not get the full recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night.
Both doctors have recommendations for getting on a better sleep schedule.
Do not use screens within 2 hours of bedtime, because whether you're a night owl or you go to bed on time, you are disrupting your circadian rhythm by doing that.
Whether you're a night owl or you're someone who's an early riser, we recommend trying to have a sleep schedule that's maintained throughout the entire week, even on the weekends. And that helps to keep your body within a rhythm. Your body gets used to it.
The Cleveland Clinic also says it's crucial to bring up any long-term sleep problems to your doctor. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
If there's something you'd like us to verify, all you got to do, email us at verify@wcnc.com. And ahead of hurricane season, we are boosting your hurricane IQ. Next Wednesday, our Weather Impact team hosting a WCNC Weather Impact special. They're going to walk you through the hurricane predictions for this year, take a look back at the devastation we saw from Helene, and explain the science behind hurricanes. You can watch it streaming right here on WCNC Plus, June 4th, 8 p.m.
For more on our forecast for today, we check in now with Chris Mulcahy.
Thanks a lot, Bennett and Lisa. And to prep ourselves, by the end of the special, we'll be able to answer this with ease. What letter of the hurricane alphabet has been retired the most? The letter C, F, I, or M? Lisa or Ben, any of you want to try to guess this?
I.
Wow, you're good. Lisa, great way to go. 1 life point for Lisa. Way to go. Letter I, that is absolutely correct. And what's really interesting is the number 99. Since 1954, officially we had 3 names retired last year. So now we've had 99 retired names. That means this year could be number 100. But if you look on this list, the letter I 13 times. Now technically it's 14. The only reason why is we had the Greek letter iota, begins with letter I, but we're typically always talking about the actual letter I in the alphabet that comes after H. We also have a new update. Our drought monitor officially came out today, so that new update dropped around 8:30, and it looks like an even better improvement. Any box that you see in green is a number that's come down. So now only 36% of North Carolina is abnormally dry, only 6% under an official drought. So a lot of that rain that we saw here in the southeastern part of the state really helped. Now it's more of the outer banks and the far eastern side that has the most drought-stricken areas. South Carolina still has a ways to go. It's really from Charleston just along the coastal areas. These numbers have come down though, so less than 30% are under an abnormally dry, but still about 11% under that moderate drought. So some nice improvements. When we are going to actually see a lot of rain with this system, it's going to further help out that drought. Could it easily pick up an inch before this is all said and done? From about 2 to 8 o'clock, that's where we have to be weather alert for your Friday, where gusty winds, large hail, and even an isolated tornado is not out of the realm of possibility and out of question. So let's get to it. So for our future cast, we have rain and spotty storms for today, as I mentioned, but this line is going to be fairly quick moving. It's really between about 2 and 6. As you can see, it just flew by there on me, and I'm going to slow it down for you. I want to backtrack. So it looks like it's going to be right around the Charlotte area, closer to about the 2 to 4 o'clock realm. It's at this point that you have this loose line of thunderstorms becomes a little bit more organized. Once it starts looking like this, and notice what it looks like at 5 o'clock, and this is also an indication that if you live southeast of Charlotte, that's where you could have the meanest line of storms along what's looked to be a bowing segment. This area could potentially have an embedded tornado. A quick little spin up is going to be a possibility, but this should be clear of the area by about 7 o'clock, and then weak chance for a leftover shower behind this system. So the winds are going to be gusty regardless because of this front wedging in. We're expecting winds to gust to about 30 to 40 miles per hour on and off through the afternoon. Of course, thunderstorms could get that over 60 miles per hour, and this is also going to leave us with a windy Saturday to come. And then our severe weather chances that I've been mentioning, I think damaging winds is the highest, number 2. If we have an isolated cell, we could have some larger hail, but I'm not going to discount the chance for a tornado. Now for our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, one day stands out from all the rest, and I already showed you. That is our weather alert day for your Friday. Outside of that, we have a very weak chance for a little bit of a thunderstorm or pop-up shower heading into the evening on Saturday. I think that's mainly around the I-40 corridor. But look at this, mixed of cloud and sunshine, lower 80s. It also feels less humid. Today and tomorrow, super humid days. Then beyond that, feeling humid again, but we're back to the mid to the upper 80s. If you like the heat, well, we're turning it back on. Anything's better than what we had on Tuesday with a high of 61. Again, stay weather alert, though, for your Friday. And stay aware of these traffic changes. Majestic continues to follow that situation in Cleveland County.
All right, good morning, everyone. 8:53 right now. Want to start with this. Again, heading back to our WCNC's cruise live shot of what's going on. This is in Shelby, where a truck crashed into the Comfort Inn Hotel, and this is the result of it. You can see that tractor trailer did have a lot of wood planks on the bed of the truck. Those are now scattered all over the place. Emergency responders are on scene. We don't have any major reports of any big injuries, but still learning more about this ongoing investigation. Again, this is our live look from our crews that are currently on scene. Let's switch it over now to my live traffic maps to give a little bit more perspective of the area that we're looking at specifically. So again, this is in Cleveland County, and we're still seeing those backups there in Shelby. We're going to zoom it in. You see that red right there? That's right where the Comfort Inn is, where the truck crashed into it, right across the street from the Exxon as well. It's really between Dixon Boulevard and Marion Street. Our reporter Destiny said that the traffic right by the Comfort Inn is very slow moving, but that's really the biggest watch spot. Other than that, though, people are just traveling very slowly around it, but you're still able to get around that. Maybe just avoid that area if you can, or allow for a few extra minutes if you do have to take that way. Okay, well, off to the east, we're following this one as well. well. Another crash is at Franklin Boulevard and York Street. Not seeing any major impacts there, but that is our newest accident. And then this one here, it's between East Boulevard and Euclid Ave. Starting to see some medium impacts. As we zoom it on out, though, we do have still some patchy fog for some locations up towards Statesville, over towards Wadesboro. So just be ready for changing road conditions. Right now, those area roadways, as you can see, they are dry. But like Chris has been saying, showers and thunderstorms are ahead. We'll have another update on your weather and traffic coming up in a few.
And back to live pictures right now there in Shelby as a hauler prepares to move that tractor trailer out of the scene there and out of the hotel that we've been talking about over the last course of the hour. Evidently, we just learned in the last 30 minutes that tractor trailer went through a red light before it crashed into the hotel.
You can see the extent of the damage there to the truck, and again, it crashing into that motel. We're going to continue to follow this for you. In fact, at the top of the hour, after a track of your weather and traffic, we're going to move our news over to our live Impact News studio. You'll see that streaming here on WCNC Plus. Our own Jane Monreal will take over our live coverage. Thank you for joining us this morning. But again, the news continues, including this breaking news this morning from Shelby. Have a great Thursday.
Let's get right to it. High of about 80 degrees today. Chance for rain really late afternoon. I would say better chance during the evening. A few thunderstorms. Isolated severe storm is a possibility, but most will be okay. Now tomorrow, that's a different story. Upper 70s, widespread storms, and looks better heading into the weekend. We are going weather alert 2 to 8 o'clock. Chance for gusty winds, large hail, and even an isolated tornado. So stay weather aware and stay updated with us on WCNC Plus. Guy Roofing 70 forecast shows a great weekend after that. Barely a rain chance. Much warmer into next week. Majestic, take it away.
All right, let's get to this. Want to show you our ongoing scene. We are out in Shelby, North Carolina. Our WCNC crews are on scene because a tractor trailer ran into the Comfort Inn that sent 2 people to the hospital this morning. And this truck did run through that red light, and this is the result. Let's just get to our live traffic maps. Not seeing a lot of what's going on there right now, but again, this is in Cleveland County in Shelby. That's where we do have that big backup there. If you typically take this way, you're going to want to allow for a little extra drive time to get to where you need to be for your Thursday morning commute.